The controversy for Chapter 9 focuses on the perils of eating disorders. What I'm going to do is basically give you a brief overview of some of the eating disorders of concern. The controversy gives a lot more detail, so this is really just an overview. And if you want more information, I'd be happy to provide that for you. So as an introduction, the eating disorders are anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa, and binge eating disorder. About 5 million people in the U.S. suffer from eating disorders, and most of them are female. Males can suffer from eating disorders as well, but it is primarily they are primarily observed in females. Patterns for eating disorders really begin early in life. This is just a continuum of eating that, right in the middle we have this preoccupation with dieting, with food, with our body size. And this can lead to dieting and regular eating patterns, or on the other side, or the more negative side of things, is leading to disturbed eating patterns and eating disorders. If this occurs early in life, this can actually precede eating disorders to develop and present themselves later in an individual's life. So what's causing eating disorders? There's really the societal pressure for thinness. So, if you look at a supermodel, if you look at athletes, if you look at movie stars, whoever it is, there is always this pressure for thinness. And this has led to having individuals having distorted body images, especially young girls. Media messages also promote unrealistic ideas, such as, to be happy, you have to be thin. But just because you're thin doesn't mean that you're happy. So there are some unrealistic ideals being promoted by the media as well. And as mentioned before, dieting can really precede an eating disorder. So this is something of concern. We want to focus on having positive body images and being satisfied with ourselves so as not to have these distorted body images and promoting eating disorders. We tend to think of eating disorders just, in the common population, but eating disorders are also pretty prevalent in athletes. For certain sports, there's this great emphasis on appearance, specifically lean appearance. So if you think about things like ice skating or gymnastics or wrestling, lean appearance is really what's emphasized. So there are risk factors for both male and female athletes, again, depending on what the sport is. For females, this is of concern because we have what's called the female athlete triad that's associated with 3 medical problems. So restrictive eating, or this eating disorder, which can lead to amenorrhea, so having no period. So this would decrease, their capability to reproduce later in life. And then this can lead to osteoporosis, or loss of calcium from bones, as we talked about with our section on calcium and the importance of that. So having brittle bones as well. And so these individuals could develop osteoporosis much, much, much earlier in life than, say after 40, when we normally see bone mass start to decrease. So this is definitely a serious concern, the female athlete triad. Male athletes can also have eating disorders, and they tend to have weight gain problems, but they think that they're too weak or thin. So they can have some problems with muscle, having their perception of their muscle or their weight isn't accurate either. So it goes along again with that distorted body image. So anorexia nervosa is probably the most commonly heard about eating disorder, and it's the restriction of energy intake relative to a body's needs, which can lead to weight loss. So the refusal of an individual to maintain body weight at or above a minimally normal weight for their age and height. These individuals have an intense fear of gaining weight, even though their weight may be normal, or they are usually underweight. So they just have this intense fear. So there's definitely some disturbance in the body image going on, and they may also have amenorrhea. So like we said with the female athlete triad, these individuals may not be having a period either. Anorexia nervosa is most common in females, specifically those in the middle and upper class. Individuals that are very competitive or obsessive tend to have higher rates or higher prevalence of anorexia. These individuals evaluate their self-worth in terms of self-control. So they can control exactly how much they eat, or I'm not going to eat that piece of bread sitting there. So they evaluate their self-control as in their means of self-worth. And they flat out, will just refuse to eat. Bulimia nervosa is characterized by recurrent episodes of binge eating. So a binge eating episode is eating in a discrete period of time a large amount of food than what you would normally eat, just sitting around in the same amount of time. And during these binge eating episodes, there really is this sense of lack of control. So you just keep eating and you feel like you have no control over stopping. Then, once you realize, oh my gosh, I just ate all this food, these individuals will use some sort of compensatory behavior in order to prevent weight gain. So they want to get rid of all that food they just ate. So they may do something like purging, so making themselves vomit, maybe taking laxatives or anything else that may, get rid of that excess body weight, or, going out to exercise excessive amounts. To be characterized as bulimia nervosa, the binge eating and the compensatory behaviors have to occur at least 2 times a week for a period of 3 months. And this disturbance does not occur exclusively during episodes of anorexia nervosa. So bulimia nervosa and anorexia nervosa are very distinct. So again, some characteristics or some things that characterize bulimia nervosa. These binge purge cycles, very common in white middle-class women. These individuals tend to either experience weight maintenance, so their body weight stays it doesn't change much, or they will experience extreme weight fluctuations. So maybe they gain a lot and then they lose a lot. So there's a lot of weight cycling going on. These individuals tend to have an obsession with food. They're constantly thinking about food, and when there's a crisis or they're feeling stressed, they may turn to food during that time. So this emotional eating cycle is what we would call it. These individuals tend to have low self-esteem, may also have depression, they have a perfectionist attitude, and this is associated with very impulsive behavior. So again, once you lose that control, you just keep eating, and then it's like, oh my gosh, I just did this, I need to get rid of it, so I need to compensate. Finally, we have binge eating disorder. It's somewhat similar to bulimia nervosa, however, it doesn't have the compensatory behavior. So binge eating disorder is recurrent episodes of binge eating in the absence of regular use of inappropriate compensatory behaviors that are associated with bulimia. Again, these episodes must occur at least 2 days per week for a period of 6 months. And this is sort of our binge eating cycle here. So we binge eat, we purge, have our negative self-perceptions, and then maybe go through some restrictive dieting. This tends to happen in people that restrict food intake, for a couple of days, and then they start craving foods, and then they overeat, and then it goes through this whole cycle again. So, treat eating disorders. Treatment requires a whole team, dietitians, so for the nutrition part of things, physicians, making sure their body systems are okay, psychologists, trying to correct that body image misperception, and other health professionals are important in this as well. So this multidisciplinary approach, should encourage positive eating and physical behaviors that can be maintained, promote a positive body image or correct that misperception of body image, encourage family meals together. So one problem with eating disorders is that people tend to become withdrawn and they don't want to eat around others. So encouraging family meals or that family support, social support. And then just, correcting the problems that have been caused by eating disorders is important as well. So, if there was hair loss, if there's been some bone loss, correcting those medical conditions is very important. So, if you're suffering from an eating disorder, if you have questions about, maybe you have some of these behaviors, please contact me. I would love to talk with you, or send you to someone else that may be able to help you more and give you more information. So please, 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 if you think this describes you or someone that you know, give them some help or give them some resources. So we'll see you next week.